to us as sort of gaps. Some of it was around education, and even on the high end. So there may be a lot of engineers, and there may even be a lot of people who are learning programming, but there was a lot of feedback from the community that they were saying they are not learning the right programming languages at teaching them at the universities for doing certain types of video games or things like that. So there was still a disconnect. So one of the things so one of the areas that they pointed out to us is there are a lot of disconnects in LA between the technology community and the large institutions that in other regions feed the technology community. Right. Educational institutions, large corporates that often that seed that, even government, is that if you look at areas where the technology community is really succeeding, there's a lot more of those, a lot more connectivity between those that just doesn't exist to that degree in Los Angeles. So that's one area. Another is, frankly, is that compared to a lot of other technology regions, we do not do a great job in mentorship and advisory. So we don't have, there's not the same sense in the technology community here that there are enough mentors or other folks that have been there and done that can help them, not make the same mistakes that they've made at the beginning. So that we got feedback on time and time again that we just don't have that kind of mentorship network. Part of that is probably because of another reason, is that it's around geographic spread, is that we're starting to get some consolidation around the west side of Los Angeles in the Silicon Beach area. But for the most part, I think there's still a lot of people who are still spread out. So we don't have that person-to-person connectivity. We're starting to develop it. We're at the early stages of it, but we haven't really had it. And that has meant, that's probably why people weren't connecting to mentors, things like that. We haven't had that critical mass. Whatever anybody says about money flowing to talent and good ideas, I get it, but I don't completely believe it. There's power in proximity. There's a lot of power in proximity. And until we've started to develop those clusters on the west side of Los Angeles, you haven't seen, so for example, if you're a venture capitalist, they're like everybody else. If you're sitting up in the Silicon Valley and you're a venture capitalist, you want to spend time at home with your family, right? You don't want to be at a hotel every night. You don't want to be on the road all the time. You'd rather have your companies close to where you are. LA, you don't want to go down to LA and have to drive all over through the traffic to get to visit a lot of companies that you might want to invest in. But once all of these new accelerators and incubators and angels started consolidating a lot of these companies on the west side of Los Angeles, all of a sudden you have a situation where if you're a venture capitalist in the Silicon Valley, you can have breakfast with your family, you can get on a plane, you come down to Los Angeles, you can see a lot of companies all in the same day. You can stack your meetings to where you're never on the freeway, and you can meet 8 companies in one day, get back on the plane and have dinner with your family that night. And you can't do that anywhere else. And that's what started to happen. That's why things are really, I think, starting to really get off the ground in LA, because we have started to build that cluster on the west side. And you're starting to see nascent clusters in other parts of the LA area as well.
I had read someplace a while back that there's something like, 40 to 60 different kinds of incubators in the LA area and activity.
Give it 10 minutes, it'll double.
Yeah. Well, Matt, you mentioned that too.
Let me play with this a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
you can call baloney on some of what I'm going to say. But
Or you can do the same on what I just said.
you said about 6 things that immediately intrigued me. One is a lot of people here feel like we're the redheaded stepchild to Silicon Valley. I love Silicon Valley. They're wonderful for us.